The church was now taught to wait for catastrophes to pray. So because it is not a physical catastrophe, because it is not physical catastrophe, we reason it out. We argue it out. Right? That time we had someone called PLO Lumumba, right? The great master orator. He was one of the people that were in that constitution thing, right? Do you know how he used to rebuke churches because of the Catholic courts? With great oratory skill. With great oratory skill. My faith cannot be affected, but the land will be. But the land will be. And you know, because now we are seeing nothing much is happening, right? Tunaona ni bado haijaingia, hakuna kitu much imefanyika. But look at this present government. Any major thing that is happening, any major department, any major ministry, any major aspect of the government, there is a Muslim involved. And that's how they work, patiently. A day will come. A day will come. Because the agenda has always been, let's take Kenya. Let's take Kenya. The agenda has always been, let's take Kenya. But how do we take Kenya? Kenya with a revived church. Kenya with a righteous church can't be taken. So get the church to sleep. How do you do it? Bring the spirit of divination. Let them have a share. Let them have a share. For the last 10 years, the church in this nation has had access to the president, to the deputy president. Right? What has happened to the advantage of the general church in this land? What has happened? Wachana na walichangiwa pesa wakajenga cathedral. Wachana na hiyo. What has happened to the general landscape? But look at every time the president, the deputy president show up in Muslim functions, whatever is said benefits Islam. Why? Because they don't need a new mosque, and certainly not to be built by the government. They have their own resource. What they need is legislation. Because the spirit of divination understands you have got to get legislation. You've got to get legislation. Yeah. So they've managed to prevail over all these things. Majority of properties are ending up with Muslims. But we don't see anything wrong with it, right? Ndio wako na pesa. If you do what they do, you will have what they have. How many people have been doing what they do? And how many people have what they have? Because the unfortunate thing, the reason why you have a man crying out to Paul in Macedonia, a man is crying. Paul is meeting with women, but a man is crying in the vision. It's because of these things you hear me tell you. It's called cunning, trickery, and the sleight of men. Why? Because nations are administered. Nations are administered. And there's a way they are administered. There's a way you rule over a nation. There's a way you take control over a nation. There's a way you do it. And a slumbering church is very important. Because if Paul would have been in Macedonia from the very get-go, would we ever have dealt with a woman, a damsel, with a spirit of divination? Think about it. If Paul would have been there from the very get-go, would we have had a damsel with a spirit of divination? The church was being persecuted in Jerusalem, but in Jerusalem, all of Jerusalem was agreed that these people, you don't join with them. What you do, you get saved. Peter, the Lord had given him grace to have full dominion over Jerusalem with the apostles. The Jerusalem could never be lost. Jerusalem, these people were moved